Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for taking time away from your families and from your business to join us tonight. My name is Denton Pugh, and I have the great privilege of leading the NAB small business banking team across Australia, looking after more than 200,000 small business customers from all metropolitan cities. On behalf of NAB, I wanted to welcome you to the very first in a series of webinars that we've prepared aimed at helping customers to succeed online. We've got small businesses dialing in from all across the country, representing a diverse group of industries, business sizes and tenures. We are seeing firsthand how challenging the business environment is at the moment. And the pandemic has certainly put e-commerce front and centre for both consumers and businesses across Australia. And you only need to look at the picture that we've got here of Georgie's Harvest, which is actually my local South Melbourne market potato and root vegetable specialists. They've operated a traditional face-to-face model for the last 10 years, but have responded to the environment by adding an online presence, a shopping cart, and delivery to their business model, which has created new customers and revenue streams for them. As the largest business bank in the country, we wanted to play a small role in helping businesses get the most out of their digital capability. And we really hope that you enjoy and get value from the series of webinars that we've prepared and that we've put together and will roll out over the next couple of weeks. In a moment, I'm going to hand over to our guest presenter, Mel Stewart, who will guide you through practical tips on how to build and set up a website for your business. The session's going to go for about 1 hour, but if you've got questions along the way, please don't hesitate to drop a question in the Q&A box at the bottom of the webinar window and ask your question, and we'll do our best to answer all those questions along the way. We'll also email you a copy of the recording of this presentation for you to rewatch or share with your business community. But before we begin, I just wanted to share our contact details and encourage you to connect with us to discuss any business needs that you may have. If you call this number, you can speak directly to one of my small business bankers, or you can set up an appointment over the phone, over video like this, or face-to-face at a convenient time and location to you. We've also got a dedicated small business hub on our website. It's a small business community that you'll find tools, guides, and product information to help you through any stage of your business. We've also got some special offers for website building tools that may interest you. Now, without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Mel Stewart. Mel is the founder of Hypersocial and the Edit Social Studio, with close to 12 years under her belt in digital marketing and e-commerce. She's led and run and worked with startups, with small and medium businesses, the private sector and government organisations. Mel really understands the activities that grow businesses and that drive results. She's an entrepreneur at heart. She's passionate about helping small businesses better understand the evolving digital environment and leverage those opportunities that exist. Mel, over to you. Let's get this started.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Denton. I'll just share my screen with everyone. But look, thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight. I never underestimate the value, being our most important and valuable commodity. So I never underestimate the value when someone's joining in one of my presentations for an hour. So thank you so much for being here tonight. As Denton said, COVID has so significantly impacted our retail climate. It's created challenges and restrictions from our bricks and mortar stores, significant challenges and restrictions. And it's also fast-tracked the spending patterns and online shopping behaviours of consumers as well. You just have to see the pressure that Australia Post is under at the moment to deliver. So I'm hoping tonight that I can provide immense value to you. I'm always mindful when I'm presenting that there's a great diversity in knowledge, understanding and experience in the people I'm presenting to. So for some of you tonight, this will be a bit of an insight and eye-opener about what can be done and hopefully how easily you can get up and running. an online store. And certainly for other people, it might be, a bit of information hand holding that will allow you to actually get your store up and running. As Denton said, you will have a copy of this video, a recording of this sent through to you. So hopefully that's a good ongoing resource for you. At the end of each section, we will have a questions slide that will appear on the screen. So I'd encourage you to put any questions you have in the Q&A. They'll get fed through to me, and I can hopefully go about answering any questions, concerns, big or small, as we go. So let's get started. Sorry. So I'm all about making impact. I want to make sure the information that I'm delivering to you tonight is valuable. The nature of that is that we will be jumping into a few different screens, the presentation and a few platforms, GoDaddy and Shopify in particular. And we'll also have some really good industry examples of some stores as well later in the presentation. The process that we're going to talk about tonight is basically going from right now where you may have no domain, no website, and it's a process of actually taking your bricks and mortar store and actually establishing an online store. We can do that in sort of 5 simplified steps. The first one is purchasing a domain name. The second one's creating a Shopify site. The third one is branding your site, so making your site look like your brand and replicates to some degree your bricks and mortar store. The fourth step will be adding simple products, and the final step that we'll touch on tonight will be connecting your domain to your site. And thankfully, technology makes that mostly a single click process right now, from connecting domains and sites. I don't want to get too boiled down in the technical jargon tonight, so I'll try and keep everything as simple as possible. But definitely there'll be some explanations about the differences between domains, sites, websites, hosting, etc. So let's kick off with purchasing a domain. So what is a domain name? A domain's not necessarily a website. Well, it's not a website. So a lot of people purchase the www.yourbrand.com.au and they think that that's the website. But what the domain is sort of like an address. So the ability for your audience to find you on the internet. So it's not a website. You do need to register a domain and address first. When you're registering a domain, it's a pretty simple process, but there are a couple of things you need to be mindful of. Some of you are probably thinking, do I do a .com or a .com.au? Some of you are thinking, how important is my brand name? Some brands move away to doing more shorter, memorable URLs or domain names. And I suppose to give you a little bit of insight to help you make that decision or to inform that decision, a .com or a .com.au depends on whether you're selling globally or not. So if you're a global online store right now, I'd encourage you to register a .com. Obviously, with online opportunities, there are no global or geographical barriers, or they're much more limited. So a .com might be suitable. However, if you're wanting to come up in local searches, so when local people are searching for local stores, a .com.au essentially tells the internet and the search engines that you're actually an Australian store and that you're a local store. So .com.au, for example, for most businesses is best. What I would suggest is that whether you get a .com or a .com.au, there's probably small financial differences between buying one or both. So I would encourage you, if you can get your brand name in a .com and a .com.au, to get both. Use your .com.au if you're predominantly still focused on the Australian market. Use your .com.au as your primary domain name. Now, brands and domain names, being creative with those can be challenging. Your brand name might already be taken, and so you sometimes have to get creative about how you choose what domain name for your business. A couple of, I suppose, tips that I would go with is that one is you definitely want your domain name to be easily memorable. So if my brand name was Stewart's Sports Shop on Sacramento Street, I probably wouldn't, even though it would be available, I probably wouldn't want to necessarily go Stewart Sports Shop on Sacramento Street because it's not very memorable. It's really long. Chances are my audience, when they're trying to find me and entering that direct URL, they're probably going to make a spelling mistake or a typo, which may affect traffic to my store. So I want to probably be a bit smarter about my domain hosting. The same thing, if I went to register a domain and Stewart Sports was already taken, and that might be my, predominant brand name, I might look for other alternatives like Stewart Sports Shop. What I would err away from doing would be from selecting something like SS Shop. So SS short for Stewart Sports, SS Shop, where I'm actually diluting and taking none of my brand into that URL. Not only would sshop.com.au be a little bit of a tongue twister, and when we're typing, when we're typing those URLs. So what you want to do is make sure it's still brand and on brand. Make sure that your brand name and the key parts of your brands are in there. But as I said, if Stewart Sports was taken, I might consider something like stewartsportsshop.com.au. And if I was a Melbourne-based business, definitely .com.au would be my preference. But I'd probably, at the same time, as I say, spend a little bit more and also register the .com, just so I have that as my own asset, digital asset. The great thing is when we're registering a domain name, there's no technical skills needed. GoDaddy, which is the platform that we'll be using tonight, and I'll take you through, GoDaddy makes it a really easy process for businesses. So why GoDaddy? GoDaddy is, there's a myriad of online operators that you could be choosing to register your domain name. But GoDaddy are experts. They're obviously trusted with millions of domain names around the globe. The process is super user-friendly. They integrate seamlessly, particularly with Shopify. So when we come to connecting that domain, you'll see it's a real seamless, almost single-click connectivity between a domain name and your website. And they're affordable. Probably the biggest thing that I love about GoDaddy, though, is their great tech customer support. You can jump on at any time and get live online support. They're really quick and proficient, and they're definitely their support, their tech support is really quick and efficient in being able to resolve issues for you. So things that you'll need prior to registering a domain is an ABN if you're registering a .com.au, and that's a legal requirement in Australia. You'll need a credit card so that you can pay for the domain, because there is a small associated cost with that, and also a safe system to keep your password. So that's if you're creating a GoDaddy account from scratch. For the purposes of tonight, I've got a business called Seymour Studios that we'll be using as a bit of a test case. So walk with me as we create the Seymour Studios online shop. So let's jump in. Let's jump in. I'm just going to change screens now, and we're going to go to GoDaddy. So a simple Google search of GoDaddy or godaddy.com.au will bring you to this screen. You can see I've already logged in, so I already have a GoDaddy account. Irrespective of whether you do or don't, it'll prompt you. But what I want to do is I want to go to www.seymourstudios.com, and I want to search for that domain. And we're going to do everything tonight as well in real time. Obviously, when you do that, sometimes you come up against some technical issues, but we are going to do everything in real time so you can see the process and hopefully how relatively simple it actually is. So you can see here, it's coming up with some options for us. So you can see seymourstudios.com is taken. That's because we've already purchased that. So what we want to do is go to, I'm going to do Seymour Studio and search that. And you see that search or the results screen is actually, they're doing a search and they're showing us all the different options. So the seymourstudio.net, .com, .com.au, .info, a whole heap of dots that you can get. Again, I'd recommend that your primary one is .com.au or .com. So I'm going to add seymourstudio.com. I'm going to add that to my cart. Once that's added to my cart, I can just continue to my cart here. Now, it is going to prompt me for some questions because when we're registering a domain, it wants obviously some information. Some of this information it'll just pull through from my profile already. And some information it'll already have. I'm just going to say no thanks. So there are some options that you can do in terms of domain privacy protection, things like you know, other email addresses, creating email hosting. So things that will be seymourstudios.com or .com.au. I'm just going to skip that for the purposes of tonight. One thing you should know is Shopify doesn't host email. So if you do register your domain through GoDaddy, it's probably a good idea to actually get email hosting there or then. It's only, again, a minor amount. So you can see here, I've got the option to register that .com domain for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or up to 10 years. For the purpose of tonight, we'll just go 1 year. It's a $9.95 cost, and I'm going to check out. It's already got my saved payment information, but you can certainly add your payment information there, and it will prompt you if you don't already have an account. Once I hit here, this complete purchase, you will see that I am now the official owner of seymourstudio.com. So I think that process, all in order, there we go, the order is complete. I think that process in total took us about 5 minutes. So a pretty simple process. GoDaddy walks you through the process. And if you do have any issues, as I said, it's got a 24/7 online help and assistance as well. So that's our step 1 complete. That's actually how simple it is to get started. Now I'm just going to jump into the chat to see if there's any questions that I can answer for you. So if you do have a question, just a reminder to jump back into, to just drop that in the Q&A. Question, can you recommend an Australian domain provider? Great question. I would say GoDaddy. There are more than GoDaddy, obviously, but again, GoDaddy for all those reasons of it being affordable. They're experts, you know, managing and hosting millions of domains around the globe. In all our tech support, they've always been really wonderful in getting back to us with any domain management issues that we may have had. They're quick at resolving it. So I always think customer service is that mode. So definitely on that basis, GoDaddy would win my vote. But there are other options, Crazy Domains, GoDaddy, Venture IP. Yeah, but GoDaddy I think is a really good option for businesses. Great question. Oh, and should you accept the privacy, etc. add-on? Yeah, really good question. So you saw I probably skipped through it a bit quickly, but there was an option to get the privacy. And what the privacy does, there's a lookup service called Whois, where basically it's like an ABN lookup or a business name registry, but it's for all the domains. And what that means is that when I register a domain, some of my information, like who owns that domain, what the email address is, that can actually be searchable. And not that that's a real worry, but some people prefer that to be kept private. So if you have privacy concerns, if you're a business that's bigger than just yourself, then you might want to consider adding privacy. We typically do. I think it's maybe somewhere between $15 and $20 a year, but we typically do that just to, again, allow our email addresses in particular just to be kept, I suppose, a little bit safer, not in a search list. But it's really up to your business. As I say, like it's not a really expensive, asset, your domain name. So that little extra spend for a bit of peace of mind is probably a really good option. So great, thank you for the questions. Again, continue to pop them in, and as we finish each section, we will definitely answer those. So our step 2 in the process is create your Shopify site. So for those that I suppose are struggling, because this is a question we get asked all the time, why is the domain not a website? Well, the domain, as I say, is like an address. So think of your domain, that what you register with GoDaddy, like your letterbox, it's your address. And that tells users when they're searching the internet, it tells them where to go to find your house and your land, which, for example, is your website and your hosting. So how this works, if you're looking at this diagram, is we've just given ourselves an address. Now we've got to build our house and land so that people, when they find our address, they've got something to see, some products to buy, for example. House and Land, in this instance tonight, is hosted by Shopify. That's where we're building our website, and that's who's hosting our website. And GoDaddy is our domain, that's our address. So hopefully that helps explain that for some people tonight. So how's that different? The reason why we're creating something in Shopify, the website, is that we're actually then using what we call space on a web server. So Shopify have these servers, and what we're doing is we're saying, can we have that little parcel of land, and can we please build our website on it so people can find us and buy from us? So it's just a location on the internet. But I always say our store, our website and our hosting is sort of our home of our shop. It's where our data, our products, our files, our images, all of that's stored, and therefore can be served up when people are searching for us. That's hopefully as technical as I will get tonight. So why Shopify? Like GoDaddy, I suppose why I would say this is a premier partner or option for a website is Shopify's core business is e-commerce for starters. So when someone specialises in that, there's a lot of opportunity they create with that, from automated marketing, managing your orders, managing your customer database. But they also, I should say, specialise in e-com for small and medium businesses. So they make their technology and the user interface really, really easy or simple for people to access and get up and running. Does that mean you won't have hurdles or stumbles or challenges? Absolutely not. You may find that. But the good thing is, again, they've got great support, which is, again, one of the reasons why I recommend Shopify. Of course, they're really affordable. Their resources, which I'll give you a quick insight into today when we explore the dashboard, are amazing. But probably one of the biggest features I love about Shopify is their ability to automate your marketing. You've all probably been on a website before. You've probably added products to a cart, and then you haven't checked out. We call that cart abandonment. We've all done it, and what often happens is from there you might then get that brand or that product pop back up into your feed on your Instagram or Facebook, or just general sites that have display advertising on them. Shopify really allows you to do all of this. So they really are focused on conversion, and they allow you to capture. So if people have abandoned carts, you can have follow-up emails, or you can have automated retargeting ads, for example, and they've really become a great resource to help you through that. So there's some of the reasons I suppose I would recommend Shopify. Again, a reason that tops all of that as well is that their support is amazing. I will jump into their help engine later on just to give you an example, but definitely Shopify in terms of their customer service and support and the ability to simplify e-com processes, they're definitely right up there. So let's get started. I want to jump in and show you now how you get started opening a shop on Shopify. It will have a couple of short questions that they'll ask us about our business and what we're selling. And then I'll just give you a really quick intro into the dashboard and what that looks like. So I'm just going to jump in here to Shopify. So I'm just going to log in. Now, obviously, I have a Shopify account, so it's going to log me in, but irrespective of whether you create an account or already have one, the ability to create a store or create a new store is really simple. So I'm going to click Create New Store. And I'm just going to put, actually, I'll just do this one. Kate is one of my team members at Hypersocial. And I'm going to call this store Seymour Studios, Australia. And I'll go create a store. Now, when I'm naming that store, keep in mind, I'm just naming it for Shopify. That's not the name. Again, that's not the domain name. I'm just literally creating that for Shopify. So that when I'm on the Shopify dashboard, it has a store that it's referring to. So Shopify is now creating a store, essentially. They're creating me a dashboard and they're about to serve it up. And as you can see, it's just takes maybe 30 seconds or so for them to deliver up the basics of an e-com site for me. So this is the short questionnaire that I did tell you about. So they're going to ask a little bit about myself and my business. So I'm just going to say, are you already selling? Yeah, I'm selling, just not online. Hopefully that's relevant for a lot of the businesses online tonight. How do you want to sell, both online and in person? Where will I mostly sell? In person, in a bricks and mortar retail store. And I'm just going to choose one location. It asks me what point of sale system do I currently use, because obviously it integrates with a lot. I'm just going to choose Square. That's what we do run for one of our e-com sites. And why am I creating this? Because I want to move my existing business to Shopify. My current revenue, I'm just going to say 50 to 250,000. And which industry am I operating in? We are going to be electronics, because we're selling cameras in Seymour Studio. I'll click next, and it'll just ask me a little bit of details here. I'll just fill this in with our office. Hodgson Street, Ocean Grove. And I'll just pop my phone number. And we're going to enter my store. So the next step is Shopify is now going to create this store for us and serve us up a dashboard. I'm going to give you a really quick tour of the dashboard before we actually jump in and then modify our site. So this is the Shopify dashboard. The top menu here is one we won't be spending too much time in tonight, but I just do want you to be familiar with it. This is where I can manage my orders, manage my products and inventory. I can manage my customer details. That includes their email addresses, phone numbers, their purchasing data. Here, the analytics dashboard is a really great way to know your numbers. They give pretty comprehensive data. Obviously, this will all generate at 0 at the moment, but it gives you really good comprehensive data on things like how many people have visited my site, how many people added items to their cart, how many people reached the checkout and then didn't convert. So I can obviously automate my marketing to get them back in, how many orders I had. And it even has sales by traffic source. So it can actually map your sales that are coming from your social media efforts, from your email marketing, from search traffic or direct traffic. If none of that makes sense to you, don't worry. It's just part of the journey and things that you'll learn. It also gives me a marketing tools discount, so I can apply promotions and discounts straight across the site, start dates, end dates, and things like that. So I can manage that, and apps that it integrates with. Where we're going to focus on a lot more tonight in the next section is in the sales channel, and in particular on the online store section. So hopefully that's a really good example on Shopify, its dashboard and how easy it is to actually create the site. Next, what we're going to jump into is the branding, how you make the site look like your brand. But firstly, I'm happy to answer any questions. Just jump into the chat. Okay. Okay, so really good question. How does Shopify compare to WordPress, Square and other hosts? So that's a really good question. So Square's partnered with Weebly to provide an e-com solution, but obviously Square also integrates with Shopify, as it does WordPress. So WordPress has a myriad of plugins that you can use to create an e-com site, and you know, WooCommerce is probably one of the most popular e-com plugins for WordPress. What I would say is, look, and I'll be honest, we've got clients and our own e-com sites that actually go through across all 3 of those, so WordPress, Shopify, as well as Square and Weebly. What I would say is that WordPress is great in terms of you can access developers, a lot of developers. WooCommerce, for example, is a great plugin that's very versatile. It's got a lot of additional add-on plugins that give you a lot of functionality. But it does have challenges in a sense that WooCommerce, as one example, their plugins can create a lot of conflicts with certain WordPress themes. They can create issues that then create instability in a site. You know, that's I suppose the negative side of it. The positive side is the functionality can be great. But with WordPress as well, you know, plugins in terms of security, keeping them up to date, you have to do that. The great thing with Shopify is that takes care of all of that for you, because it's only Shopify plugins and development that happens. They manage all of that. So you don't have to go in and do as much, I suppose, maintenance in WordPress, or you don't necessarily have to pay a developer to do that. And I say that, and we develop WordPress sites. So, telling you how it is, Shopify is a really good way to enter e-com and grow your e-com. And Square is very similar to Shopify. I would have to say Shopify's probably got a little bit more functionality, a little bit extra dashboard reporting and things like that at the moment. Then we have the next one. What if you did not e-com site? What would you use for your site instead? Yeah, look, I'll give you an example. We have a client that we're actually establishing a site for right now, and it's a specific e-com site, and we are going with Shopify for them. So they're specifically e-com. If I was just building a general website that wasn't e-com as its you know, as its main role, then I would probably look to then I'd probably look at WordPress, absolutely. But if it's an e-com only site, I think Shopify definitely ticks a lot of the boxes, if not all of them. Does Shopify have a plugin to WordPress? That's a really good question. I think it used to. I'm not 100% certain. I think it used to, but I don't think it does anymore. I could be wrong, yeah, certainly if you really want an answer to that, email me at mel@hypersocial.com.au, and I'll definitely get back to you with that. I have a feeling now Shopify doesn't, and that if you want to play with Shopify, it's got to be through their website, and again, that's their core business. Okay, I hope that's all the questions I've answered. I'll move on. We are short on time, so I will move on. But again, if you've got a question, definitely drop it into the slide. So what I want to show you now is how to brand your site. So what we've done is we've just built a framework. We've established the back end of a site, but now we actually have to build the front end, which is the part that the consumer sees. The great thing with Shopify is it has themes already preset. They can be free themes or paid themes. And it allows you to browse those themes by industry or by collection. All of the themes are customizable to a certain point with colors, images, typography, so you can make sure you get the look and feel of your site. One of the other best things about it is you can try and then view your site before you actually buy and commit to specific themes, free or paid. So I want to give you we'll jump in and have a look at that. So obviously I can explain it, but I can actually show it to you. So I'm going to go to online store here. So again, back on our left-hand menu in our dashboard, I'm clicking on online store, and the first option that comes up here is themes. So this is going to load some themes. So you can see down here, at the moment, I'm on the debut theme, which is the default theme. So that's the theme I could play with. I can come here and go explore the free themes. And so if I click on that, that'll open up the 9 existing free themes that Spotify has. Now, it is a short number, it's just 9, but I will tell you that they're beautiful themes. They're beautiful and easy to use themes. And within those themes, so if I click on minimal as an example, you'll see here it's actually got 3 styles. So even though the overall theme is called minimal, it's got what we call different kind of, I suppose, child themes, a modern feel, it's got a vintage feel, or it's got a fashion feel. So I can add that theme to my library. It doesn't mean I'm choosing that theme, but I can sort of shortlist it, I suppose. I can come also into the Shopify theme store, and you'll see here that's opened up in a new window, and what that's actually going to do is give me a whole range of themes, but these ones as the name would suggest, I pay for. So most themes are sort of around $150 to $180. And again, I can just like I did with the free themes, I can have a look at these and I can see how much they are, and I can get an example of what people have done with them. So free or paid themes, I suppose, are the option. What I'm going to do right now is we actually already added minimal, so we'll go with that. You can see here I added minimal. So what I can do is I've got an action to publish it. So if I wanted to publish it as it is, that's what I would do. But what I want to do first is customize it. So I'm just going to click on customize. And this will now bring me up with some options to change some of those colors and the fonts, the logo, add my logos to the theme. So the great thing with Shopify is it gives you a running preview as you make changes. It shows you what you're updating this site to. If I want to look at it in full screen mode without my submenu on the left, I can do that. And if I want to look at the mobile version of my site, I can also do that, which is pretty user-friendly way of seeing it. Now, I'm just going to click on theme settings, which is here. And this is where I can choose different, I suppose, customization options. So colors, as an example, I can choose different color options. So it by default has chosen some. If I click on that top bar background, you can see here I might choose another color. Obviously, they've served me up some colors, but I can just move this color wheel and I can just then point the dot and I can change those colors depending on what I want. Now, most of you probably have a brand and a logo with some color values already, hex values. You can see those here. If I have those specific to my business, I can simply just enter that code in. So ones that I prepared earlier, so this is a document I prepared earlier just to make it easy for tonight. So here, for example, I can just copy that hex value. I can pop that in there. And Shopify finds that color for me. So you can see that's there. Now I can go through and change those colors for my body background, my footer background, lines and borders, buttons and links, etc. So same process. I just click on that on the color picker and I can choose it that way. And the same with the text. I've got the options to change the text color on my main menu, my body, my footer, etc., and social media icons. And if I scroll that further down, you'll see the footer down there, and social media icons don't have any in there yet because we're yet to customize the theme with those. So we customize the theme on this menu here. I mentioned the social media. So for example, this is where I would customize it and say, see more studios. So it's going to already pick up facebook.com and I just have to put my see more studios. And I might do the same. I just copy and paste that there for Instagram. I don't have to have all these social channels. I can just do the ones there that I want and I can just do the ones that I do have, the social ones that I have, and then I can just press save. And so as I go, this is now just saving all my changes. A couple of other things, the favicon, that's the small icon. You can see up here like the Shopify one, the Canva one, the GoDaddy one. You can see those up in the tabs. So that's where I can upload my favicon. That's a pretty small image. I'm just going to upload an image as an example. And again, here's one I prepared earlier. Go with this one and open. And again, I'll just save my changes. I'll just save my changes there. You can see that one. Also, I'll press select and then save my changes. So this is the menu I suppose to go through and colour your website and get it to your brand colours. Obviously, what we're seeing here in the wireframes with these are where products will go. So that's sort of reminding us that we're yet to do that. Now, what I can do is then come back here to sections. And sections is where I can actually change the layout of my site and what it looks like and add images, etc. And you can see these sections here, slideshow, featured collection, images with text. You'll see as I scroll down, they correlate. There's the slideshow, products, image with text, etc. So if I want to edit, for example, the slideshow, I can come in here. There's a couple of minor things I can do, like making that large as opposed to small. I can update the slide content. So for example, I'll put an image that I prepared earlier. So we might put this image in. Actually, I'll put this one. Sorry, it's a bit slow in its upload because it's running Zoom as well, but that image will pull through in just a moment. There we go. And I can go select, and you can see as I make those updates that happen. So it's a really simple, almost like a drag and drop editor. It's like super simple to use. Probably the key things to remember is each of those sections here on the left menu correlate with a section that you actually see on the side. And obviously, as I scroll down further, you can see the different sections like a map, etc. One thing I will quickly show you if I want to add a section. So let's say I want to add a section in here. I can simply hit add a section, and I might say I want to add a blog post or a gallery of images or a newsletter, a map, a video, for example. I suppose that just shows you the additional functionality of Shopify. So you're definitely not, even though you choose a theme, you're definitely not just restricted to that particular layout. So I hope that's given you a really good overview, I suppose, on choosing your theme settings to brand your website under your brand colors and make it feel and look like your brand. One tip that I will use, Canva is a tool that you've probably heard of, hopefully have used. If not, definitely check it out, canva.com. Canva's great. I'll show you the background remover on it soon when we enter in a product in the next stage, but definitely the Canva background remover is an amazing, Canva is an amazing tool for layout, design, image editing, etc. So I'll just jump in really quickly because we are tight for time now. So I'll just jump in quickly and answer any questions that we might have. Yeah, so just someone asked, are GoDaddy and Shopify sponsoring the event? Absolutely not. This is a NAB event. They're just simply two platforms that we are using as examples in tonight's showcase. They're not absolutely under any sponsorship at all of this event. How does postage work? I'll get to that after we add in the products, if that's okay. That's a good question. So in this next section, when we talk about adding a simple product, I'll talk about setting up postage as well. So we'll jump back in and let's talk about adding simple products. So the good thing with Shopify is you can import or create products. So you can create them simply individually, or you can import. So if you're running an inventory system in your bricks and mortar store, you can simply import those as a CSV file. Sourcing product images can be difficult. I always say check with your suppliers. Often suppliers have the images. Often you might have images with backgrounds, and I'll show you this quick tool that you can use as a background remover. That's also available on PicMonkey for those that might use PicMonkey.com. And we'll talk about some additional resources. So let me jump back into the Shopify and we'll create a real product. So I'm going to click on the top left-hand menu up here. You'll see Shopify. I'll just better save my changes. But if the top left-hand menu, that little Shopify icon, that will always take me back to my Shopify dashboard. And you will recall in the top part of the dashboard, we had products, and this is the one area where we'll showcase tonight. So we're going to show how quick and easy it is to add in your products. Now, always, so I'm just going to click add a product. As I said, you can import products as well. But for tonight's purposes, we'll just do a simple product. Now, always, one tip I always find with e-com sites is make sure your description is really thorough of your product. Remember, sometimes buyers that are coming to your site are actually coming and doing a little bit of research as well, not just price comparison, but also research. So we want the description to be good quality so that answers all their questions, because questions become barriers for people converting, and that's definitely not what we want when we're trying to sell stuff online. So the more barriers we can knock down and the more questions we can answer of theirs, the more chance we are of selling our product. So I had prepared a caption here earlier, so I'm just going to copy and paste that in with a title of my product name, a description, and then here I can add a file. So I'm going to add an image. Now, I keep talking about this Canva background removal tool, and you can see the image I'm going to pick right now has a white background, so I'm going to actually include that. It's really important when we're doing nice, we call these a product shot as opposed to a lifestyle shot, which might be the product in use. Both are really important for e-com, but when we're doing collections and putting them on our site, white background images are really nice. Now, I mentioned about this Canva tool, and I just really want to quickly show you how it works. So remember Canva.com, who also aren't sponsoring tonight's event, but it's a great tool. I can upload the image in here, and if I click on the image and go to effects, it'll give me the option to remove the background. So I know, you know, we can take photos like this of our products or have existing photos of these products. If we just simply use that background remover tool, it works its magic and it dishes us up a photo, the same photo with the product, but with no background. So I'll just take a little moment. And there we go. It's a pretty clever tool. So canva.com, go to effects and background remover. And that's a really good handy tool. Just simply download that and then that'll save to your computer. So there's a hot little tip for you. Now, really quickly, I spoke about lifestyle shots versus product shots. And I'll give you an example here. I'll refer to this, website soon, but you can see here, these are product shots where they have the white background. And these are what we call lifestyle shots. Now, you will need a mix usually of both, but product shots definitely have a nice aesthetic in an e-com site. So definitely using that background remover tool or shooting your own is really important. Now, really quickly, as we're entering in this simple product, here I can enter in the price of my product. So it's $588. I can add a compare price if I wanted to make it look discounted, like was $588 now, was $688 now $588. I can also add in my cost of my product, so what my cost is. Customers don't see that, but it's from my reporting dashboard where it shows me my margin and profit. It's also got inventory stock management where I can put in barcodes and SKUs, and I can also manage my inventory by saying how many we've got available. Now, in terms of postage, it's really important that we have the right weight put in for items just so that we can do correct shipping rates, because that can all be automated at checkout. And from there, I can do variants. So if I was selling t-shirts, I could choose between small, medium, large, just by doing that there. Now, it's really simple. Once I have done that, I can put in different collections. So I could say this is my camera collections. It's in cameras. In collections, I'll do homepage because we saw that homepage. That's saying feature on that homepage collection. There we go. And the other thing I could do is I could classify it as a product type. So I could say camera, it goes in the cameras, product type as opposed to lenses or camera equipment. Once I hit save on that, it's picked up that variant. So I'll just untick that variant so it doesn't have variants. Once I hit save on that, I've essentially created a product in Shopify. Now, any questions on that? I'm really mindful of time and we're racing to the end, and no questions there. So I will continue on. As we get to our home stretch, the last part of our process is connecting your domain. So the great thing is that Shopify's integration with GoDaddy as an example, but also with other domain hosts, it certainly allows you to almost do this as a single click. So remember, Shopify is the website and the hosting, GoDaddy is that address. Now we want to connect them so that when my customer searches www.seymourstudio.com.au, they find their way to me. So I'm going to just quickly jump back into Shopify now. And you'll see here, I'm going to click on online store. And you can see down the bottom, it's got the option for domains. So I'm going to whiz through this process because we just registered the domain Seymour Studio. The option may not come up, but this is essentially a one-click process. What I'm going to do is say connect an existing domain. And here, if I type in seymourstudio.com.au or .com, because we own them both, and hit next, You can see it's identified that it's a GoDaddy domain already, so it has been processed. That's unreal. So I can just click connect automatically, and what that will do is then connect those two with, as I say, a single click, which is pretty impressive. So hopefully you can see that that's a pretty simple process of registering a domain, building my site. Obviously, I fast-tracked that tonight. Time needs to be spent in refining the look and feel, uploading images, uploading products, etc. What I want to finish off though with is just a couple of next steps. So once you've done all that, you've loaded your products, your site's ready to go. I want to give you a couple of really quick must-dos. You have to absolutely set up Google Analytics. And what Google Analytics does is it allows you to have data. And I always say, if our marketing decisions are informed by data, typically we don't go wrong. A couple of things we know with e-com sites and conversion is that longer the audience spends on your site, so it's called time spent on site, the more likely they are to convert. So that kind of data you can get quickly and easily through Google Analytics. And again, it's a really simple process to do that. The second thing I would do is install a Facebook retargeting pixel. So what that means is that when people are on your site, they've abandoned your cart, you can actually use Facebook ads to display your content in their feeds. And even though we say Facebook advertising is really digital advertising, because through their audience network, you can target anyone. So installing Google Analytics, installing the Facebook pixel. And then the last thing I want to say is that old adage of build it and they will come does not work in e-commerce. We really have to drive traffic to our site. And what I say is sell the sizzle. So I'll really quickly show you what I mean by that. And I'm going to use this example of Jail, which is a Warrnambool store that I purchased from just recently. Now, this is a Shopify site as well. So you can see once you go through the brand and colors and add images and collections, what you can do with it. But what I want to show you is that they're selling the sizzle. They're not just showing the products, they're showing the products in use. They're selling an aspiration and making people want to buy from them. And I love this one, Jail Reloaded collection. It was a sold out collection that's since been reloaded. So they're creating that demand and incentive. So drive traffic to your site, use your social channels, your existing email audiences, use your visual merchandising in your bricks and mortar store to let people know that you're now online and they can buy from you there. Now, just to finish, we have actually added a couple of resources and helpful links for you to help with your journey. So if you look at this presentation that you'll get sent through, you can see we've got our Shopify help, our GoDaddy help, a great resources to find if you have any hurdles. There's some resource checklists for what to do before you register your domain, so what you need. And also before you launch your site, a great little checklist. And in particular, there's a blog article here from Shopify that gives you a 10-step checklist that of things to cross off and tick before you actually go live with your site. So just really quickly, I'll jump back into the Q&A and just see if there were any more questions that I can answer. But most yeah, okay. So I think that might be all the questions for tonight. So I want to just sincerely thank you for being here tonight. I hope that that's provided some value, and I hope it's given you enough insight and inspiration and information to go out there and start your e-com experience.
Mel, thank you so much for donating your time tonight and for such an insightful walkthrough on building a website. We trust all of our viewers got some valuable information from that session, and that will help them to support their business to get online. This is the first in a series of webinars that we're going to be doing to help our customers succeed online. And the next webinars are going to be as follows. So the first one's around protecting your business. You're going to learn there how to protect your business from online by identifying potential scams, and that's on the 15th of September at 2 p.m. The next one is around managing your business on social media. where we'll have guests Facebook on that session, so stay tuned for that one. That'll explore the importance of online marketing and the key things to define when starting out on social media. The next session is around knowing your brand on the 1st of October, where you'll find out how to build your brand story and how to communicate it effectively online. And then the last one in this particular series is all about search basics, which is where you'll learn to get started with search engine optimization and also search engine marketing. And that's on the 8th of October at the same time, 7 o'clock. If you'd like to register for any of our upcoming webinars, please visit us at nav.com.au/businesswebinars. As a reminder, if you'd like to connect with any of my small business bankers, please don't hesitate to call us on 13 47 08. It's option number 3 to connect straight to a banker, and you can speak to someone directly or set up an appointment at a time that's convenient to you. Finally, if you liked what you saw today, please do let us know. There will be a survey. When you close out of the webinar, there will be a survey, and we actually appreciate all feedback and any feedback. Please feel free to share this content with your business network so that they can also benefit from the content. On behalf of all of us, wishing you, your business and family the very best during these unprecedented times. I look forward to seeing you on the next few sessions, and thanks so much. Take care and have a good night. Thank you.